Hey, and welcome to the Creative Marketing Show. I'm your host, Angela S. Joyon. This is the podcast for ambitious women in business looking to cut the BS, stop dancing for likes, and learn to create honest and genuine marketing strategies that don't cause burnout and overwhelm. Have a question about content creation, social media, or maybe you're looking for more clarity on how to take your business to the next level. This is the show that brings the answers to your questions each and every week. Hey everyone, welcome back to Creative Marketing Show. This is part 2 of a little series that I'm doing based on an experience my family and I had. And there was a lot of lessons that came out of it. So if you haven't listened to the first part of this series, I want you to go back and listen because it's going to provide a little bit more context. In the first part, I spoke about ego and kind of overconfidence and where we need to make sure we're backing it up if we're going to come out there with full on confidence, and things that we can learn from that, especially when that ego gets in. A quick Coles Note version. My husband and my son and I went out for dinner recently to a restaurant that we visit all the time, always have great service. But on this particular occasion, we didn't have the best experience overall. And so the ego portion was a little bit related to the service that we had received. You know, when the waitress didn't write everything down and all the orders got messed up, and it's like, hey, wouldn't bother me if you wrote it down. Like, that isn't good. I'm not going to think any less of you. But not to really pinpoint that situation. It's really about the lesson. That's what I really want to focus on for ourselves in our own business. Where is our ego coming in a little hot and heavy sometimes? Do we need to check ourselves from time to time? Probably. And so this is just a little reminder. But in today's, I want to talk about accountability. So the portion of the story that I didn't share in the previous episode was that when our order came, when everything was not correct, you know, I ordered the salad, but I got fries. My husband ordered the sweet potato fries. He got fries. So just like things, right? Hey, accidents happen, mistakes happen. That's not the point of this. I get it. It happens. But it was more the accountability. Accountability is a big, big word for me. I love it. I think it's one of the most important things we can learn. I always say, if there's one thing I can teach my son, it's how to be accountable. I find that that is what can really help you, especially if you make a mistake. Nobody likes it. Nobody. Where if you make a mistake and the blaming all the other things happens, when we can take accountability for our actions, people will respect you. And so, not that I don't respect this server who was helping us at the restaurant, but it kind of felt like she was lacking the accountability. Because I will say, when our orders arrived and they were not correct, again, mistakes happen. When the beer order came and it was not correct, the bartender was blamed. When the food arrived, the kitchen was blamed. And so as someone who's worked in the restaurant industry, like, you kind of like have this little radar of, are you sure? It just kind of felt like there was absolutely no accountability on the server herself, where she was the one who took the order and didn't write it down. And so, you know, this is nothing personal against this person. I am, again, focusing just on the lesson here. What would have made this situation, I would say, better is if she said, I'm so sorry. You know what? I should have written this down. It's been a crazy day. I made the mistake. I'm going to get this fixed up for you right away. Hang tight. Honestly, that would have switched everything for me. I would have thought, hey, thanks for your honesty. You know what? I get it. Shit happens. No worries. I love that you're honest and accountable to it. But when it's, you know, everybody else, so it's so easy to blame the kitchen, the back of house. It's so easy to blame the bartender because they're not there, right? And so and maybe I'm wrong, maybe it was their fault. I'm using air quotes here. But it just didn't seem that way. You know, if she had written everything down to a T and repeated the order back to us, then I would have thought, oh, well, she was on the ball. Maybe it was. And again, no harm, no foul. Nobody's losing a limb here. We're all fine. We got to eat. We're very lucky. So I recognize that. But blaming and just not taking accountability can really hurt you in terms of how you're showing up and what people perceive to get from you. So this is that lesson that I wanted to chat about. Where in your business are you being accountable? It's okay to make mistakes. Trust me, I have made them myself. We're always going to make mistakes. We're going to fuck up from time to time. That's okay. It's how we react is what's going to affect people's perception of us. So this is a little bit of a reminder and a lesson to, if you make a mistake, don't beat yourself up about it. It's going to happen. If it hasn't happened yet, spoiler alert, it's going to happen. So it's how you react. So when you can be accountable, if you mess up on a delivery of an item for a client, if you're delayed, if you're behind, if you're like, oh, I promised them they'd have it by Friday, but like this happened and this happened and this happened, instead of sharing all of the excuses and things like that, why not trying just to be honest and accountable? You can give that client a call or that customer and say, hi, I just wanted to touch base with you personally. To be honest, we are a little bit overwhelmed this week. We had a few unexpected turns. You don't have to get into details. We don't want it to be about excuses and coming up with these big stories, but just saying, I want to let you know that I recognize this, but I will be honest, your order is going to be late, or are you all right if I get this a day later? Just having those conversations and being accountable, even again, if you messed up, if you're like, I made a big mistake and I need some time to correct it. I truly feel that people will respect you more when you operate with honesty, integrity, and some grace and accountability. People can recognize that because then they know they can trust you. So take that lesson today. It's okay if you're going to mess up from time to time, but instead of making excuses, blaming others, oh, it was this or it was that, or because this happened and oh, the dog, any of that, just be accountable. Say, tell the truth, take the responsibility, and I think you'll be surprised that it's not so scary and you'll be way more respected for it. So I hope that this was helpful. If this resonates, I'd love to hear. Just, send me a DM, angela.s.doyon on Instagram, or share this with someone who needs to hear it. But stay tuned. I've got one more lesson that came out of this experience because there's one more piece of the story that I haven't quite shared yet. It's nothing crazy, but it is about recovery. So I've talked a little bit about the accountability, but other ways we can recover from when we make some errors or mistakes in our business. So stay tuned for part 3, and thank you so much for tuning in today.